Hey everybody, welcome to the first episode, but our second take at our unnamed podcast. So please, if you could help us name our podcast, because we are very, very bad at coming up with names. Today we're going to be talking about cybersecurity, as it is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. With me today I have Matt Enderle and Adam Ray. And so let's get started, guys. So let's start with 10 tips that you guys would recommend when it comes to cybersecurity for small businesses.
Yeah, so I think number one, cybersecurity is very important to all small businesses, medical practices, and it's just a month. Have you guys heard of this whole month, October? Did you guys do it last year?
No.
You never heard? I haven't heard of it yet.
No.
So I don't know if it's a new thing this year or what, but I'm glad it's here. It's a time to kind of take a step back and look at what we're doing and go from there. So
yeah, I think our engineer Jonathan actually informed all of us about it.
Yeah. So, I'd say from the top, the easiest number one tip is change your passwords. Last couple months, Facebook got hacked. If anyone's still using that password, that's bad news. I would go in and change them. Just a good time. Real pain in the butt, I understand. Bank, I would change everything. iCloud password, Google password. I would change everything.
But do not keep them the same across the board. You're going to want to have different strengths based on the importance of that site,
yeah,
correct?
I mean, that's one school of thought, right? I mean, one thing's for sure. Never use your bank password anywhere else, right? That's just a personal preference of mine. I don't store bank passwords in password managers. That's completely separate. And then from there, email and social, I would probably change those up. Any Google Drive, things like that, I would probably use something different. A little tip that I was once told is use a sentence and that's longer, so easier to remember, but still a complex password. So anyways, my recommendation is to change passwords.
And Adam, what are your thoughts on, so let's say I have 5-10 passwords. Probably what I would do, because I'm an idiot, is I would write them down. And just because I have to remember them somehow. And so that's not a good
Where
idea.
do you write them down? Can you tell us?
Exactly.
More specifically, your bank password. Where do you write that one
It's
down?
in my
under your keyboard?
It's in my
or where's that one
journal
at?
next to my bed.
Yes. Do not write your passwords.
Hey, what's your address real quick?
Yeah. Let me get that. Hold on a second. Can I borrow your pen, actually?
Yes. And I work in technology.
Yeah. Do not write your passwords down.
All right, Adam, tip 2.
Verify SPF records. So all you out there that do not know, SPF records is a sender policy framework. So what that is basically is a way to mail exchange servers to let you know who's authorized to send mail on behalf of that domain name. So that way you're not getting email spoofing and issues like that nowadays. So that's a big one, and we can help you out with that.
So does that tie into, Matt, we've gotten emails we think they're from you,
right,
asking for gift cards. So is that, and I'm a sucker and I almost did it one time and I text
Sure.
you. So verifying where that email, not only who it came from, but the email address.
So let me break this down.
SPF?
It does. And unfortunately, it doesn't always catch everything. But here's a general idea. You have a domain name, companyaa.com. Company A, you have what's called DNS records. These are several records, 10, 20, 30, maybe you have one. Website has a record, your email has a record. What the internet gods came up with was an idea that we could say, hey, email from this domain name. What mail servers are authorized to send it? Because remember, email came out very for DoD purposes, internal messaging. It wasn't designed for what it is today.
Right.
So we needed a way to say, hey, I got an email from email server 1. I'm not sure, and from domain company A, is that email server 1 authorized to send an email from that domain name? So we implemented probably 10, 15 years ago in the IT industry, the SPF record. And what that is it's a certain way to put a record in DNS. And so if I send you an email, your email server says, hey, this came from maxtechagency.com. What does the SPF record say? Well, that's coming from mail server 1 is authorized.
Okay.
Did that come from mail server 1? Yes. Then SPF is passed.
Okay.
If it did not, then it's a fail. And if there was no SPF record, it's called a neutral. Now, at this point, 15 years later, there are still companies that don't have an SPF record. Horrible, horrible, horrible. And on the receiving side, because you didn't want to not get your email,
right,
you accept the neutrals. So you say, I'll take it if there's no record, and I'll take it if there's a pass. Companies now are tightening that and saying only pass. So if you don't, to Adam's point, if you don't have an SPF record right now and it's a neutral, that is a bad thing.
So, Adam, how would a small business know if they have an SPF record?
You can do contact us first and foremost, or you could do a quick Google search on SPF lookup, and you can then type your domain name in there. And basically what it's going to do is run a query for a text record, which is that entry Matt was talking about, the SPF record, and it'll let you know if that's there. That's the best way to look at that.
Okay. So next topic. So spam filter sensitivity. I have no idea what that means. How do you increase that, decrease that, and how does that help you?
Well, your spam administrator will have to do it. You may have the ability, depending on which spam filter that you're using. Our particular clients are using Barracuda. They would have access, but often they call us and have us ratchet it up. Your settings can be from 1 to 5, or it may be from 1 to 100. Either way, just tightening them up a little bit, now is probably a good time to do that.
Okay, so for example, today, I guess, just so I can relate this, had a client notice all of a sudden in analytics, things just went through the roof, like all in one specific city. So their spam filters, that sensitivity, whatever, Barracuda or whatever it is, that was not allowing for whatever was trying to happen. They were trying to hack it to not happen.
Yeah. No, that's web spam, right? That's web spam traffic. We're more specific, I think, talking about your email.
Okay.
So we don't want spam to come in, because a lot of times you get spam and there's also a link.
Right.
You follow the link and you end up in bad position, right? So the idea with increasing your spam filter sensitivity is to eliminate more spam and hence eliminate the links that you might get or file attachments.
Okay.
Yeah, and another thing to keep in mind real fast too is this spam filtering is an organic, living, breathing thing here that you constantly have to evolve and change with. Changing that score.
You probably see that daily with our clients, right?
Yeah, exactly. We may have put that client in an 8 because they want to really block things out, and then we have a particular client that they're trying to message something in and it gets blocked. So we kind of have to always fighting with that back and forth between the spam scores.
Now, real quick, Adam, on that note, with us, our clients more specific that are watching. Can user A increase theirs, but user B at the same company have theirs a little bit lower?
No.
It's got to be at the domain,
it's a domain
the company
level.
wide.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Next point, virus definition, and making sure that you have antivirus installed on your workstation.
Sure.
Yes, big one here. This is kind of, now that we're in 2019, this is pretty common practice nowadays. But
You would hope.
There are still a lot of companies that do not have AV, or if they have AV,
How many of those do you think
it
people
expired
uninstall them?
3 years ago. What's that?
How many do people who don't have antivirus do you think are actually uninstalling it?
I don't think very many.
Okay.
No,
Because that used to be what I used to do back in the day.
You think
back in the day, you would do something and it didn't work.
Yeah.
You would uninstall. It was
Yeah,
kind of
or
uninstall.
or thanks, your subscription expired 1,023 days ago,
and they didn't renew it.
That's another big one. Hey, we got AV on here, but then they realized the subscription expired, a year ago. Well, you need to renew that. So,
and if you don't have an IT company that you work with, who's responsible for renewing that within the organization?
You are. But the question is, you might get an email that says renew it, and it might not be. It might be bogus. You might click something, put your credit card in. It's not even the antivirus
So
company.
you really, if you don't have an IT company you're working with, you're really kind of playing Russian roulette with your.
There's a couple things. Number one, if you deal with a corporate antivirus, it should be central license, which means you buy one license and it covers so many devices. Okay. So it's not every device has its own license. That would be a nightmare. 5 users, maybe it's doable. You go buy Norton at Best Buy and off you go.
Right.
But when you start getting into 20, 30, 50, 100 devices, you want that subscription to be at the same start and stop times so that and you can buy one license and you're covered. So if you're going to do that, your best bet's to go through a managed service provider because they're going to get a discount and pass that to you, and then they're going to make sure that everything is okay with your license. So and usually it's about the same price or less through the managed service company because they're getting it at a wholesale price.
Okay. Adam, you got anything else to cover there at all before we move on?
No, I guess one last thing to remember. So if you have AV installed on your computer, that's great. Make sure it's updated and subscription is active if it is a paid service. That's a big one there.
Yeah, and just don't go on installing things.
Yes.
All right. The next topic we already kind of hit with making sure that those emails are coming from a verified source, not just Matt Enderly at 1234.
I can make this one real short. Just look at the email.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the problem is your mobile phone
Yes.
will
Right.
say like email from Jason Garcia.
Right.
Click the name and look at the email. Is not necessarily, I mean, if you think it's suspicious, the problem is they will also go find your email signature block
Right.
and put that in the email from you to me. So now my trust levels are higher. So always just click on the name, especially on your mobile phone, and click our iPad and look at it, because often in there they're condensing it.
Because we've had multiple people here almost go out and buy gift cards because
Yeah.
of something your wife, multiple people.
The time I came in and the bookkeeper said, "Hey, who's the $1,000 iTunes gift card for?"
Yeah.
And I said, "What?" And she said, "Yeah, you sent me an email. You said you were in meetings." And I was like, and they said, "Well, the email was even crafted the way you speak." And I'm like, that's not good.
Yeah, no, it's scary.
Yeah.
So now enabling two-factor authentication, which I think is great. Anytime I buy things, I like it to be two-factor.
Who do you use it with?
I've used it a lot with online retailers.
Okay.
That I keep an
So
account
who?
with.
Like, I mean, is this Amazon? Who do you?
I have Dick's. I have
Okay.
a place called Joe's.
So
New
when you go to
Balance.
log into Dick's, you already have an account.
Yep.
And it does what? I mean, explain what two-factor the people who are watching probably are using it already and may not know what you mean by two-factor authentication.
So I'm trying to think. I think it's been a while since I've ordered anything from Dick's, but I have to put in like my email
Yep.
and then a password, and then usually there's like a question that I have to answer.
Okay.
So those are always kind of the easiest ones, You set
What
it up
about like the bank? Banks, I think, adopted this very early on.
Yes.
At least in my experience.
Yep.
Where I go to log in and it doesn't recognize my device.
Right.
And it says, "Hey, we got to send you a text with a code,
Yep.
and we got to type that back in." And I'm seeing more and more now, like everyone's doing it.
iCloud,
Yeah.
Gmail, they're all using the, LastPass, things like that. They're using authenticators for QR codes. It'll get you a code, and you just type in that code, and it resets every 30 to 60 seconds. But yeah, there's plenty of them out there.
You all right
You
there?
might, you might get. Yeah, I don't know. Is this cutting in and out, or is it just my headphones?
No, it's just your headphones.
All right.
Oh,
We're
well.
probably
So,
okay.
also, guys, just so you know, I'm not playing dumb here. This is really, I'm not an IT guy.
No.
So I don't want, the listeners to think, oh, yeah, here's Jason over here just playing dumb for the podcast. Nope, I'm really this
No,
dumb.
they don't think you're playing dumb.
I'm really
They're
this
not
dumb.
convinced of it.
It's
Yeah.
very apparent.
They probably saw the video of you yesterday eating the hot taco under 30 seconds.
Yes,
So
true.
if
yes.
you guys haven't seen that, go on our Facebook page. That was way more entertaining in person than on that video.
Yeah, it was,
I'd go check that out.
It was hot but delicious. So, next point. So we already talked about how silly Jason, would write down his passwords and keep them in his journal next to his bedstand. So, do not do that. Right?
Yeah, I
No,
mean,
do not.
Guys, our IT guys go out and make on-site calls. Their passwords are on the keyboard or under the keyboard. Very, very common.
Yes.
Horrible deal. And if you think you're writing down your password for your Facebook and that's okay because it's Facebook, what are the odds you're using that password for something else?
Exactly.
Right. Right. And then, so next, point number 8, change your wireless password. How often? Like every 6 months, every quarter? What is the
So
security there?
I would say number one on wireless, make sure you have a separate guest network, right? So
Right.
if you have a business and providing wireless, and to say you have a guest network, a lot of companies will create, there's 2 wireless you can join. One says guest, but there's no difference between that one and their main wireless.
They still
right?
have access to the internet.
Yeah, they have access to everything. And so you got to make sure that you truly do have a guest network, number one. Change your guest network password, and that password should obviously be separate from your main wireless network password. And those should both be changed every 6 months.
Okay. So,
At home, too, by the way.
yeah. So, don't ever keep it the same as far as like when the AT&T comes out and it's the 27 digits. Make sure you change that.
Yeah, I would.
Yes.
I mean, because usually it's your phone number or something, right?
Yeah. And now this is the next one is one that we hear a lot about around the office, and it is testing your backup. And whether you have one or you think you have one, test it, because you have a great story. You guys both have a great story about a client that thought she had a backup.
Yeah.
And didn't. And
Yeah.
what happened because of that?
So I'll tell you, I mean, testing backups is very expensive, right? It's easy and quick. And Adam, you set up our backup, so you can kind of chime in on this thing. But would you agree that it's less time to set up a backup than to test a backup?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, you're installing software, you're sending a backup, you're making sure it runs. And while that's very important, if you don't test that, now the reason most companies don't test their backup, in my opinion, is because their IT company is not doing that as part of a normal a routine, because it could be 10 to 20 hours to test that backup in a true, let's say your server crashed. What would really happen? You got to get another piece of server. You got to get a new server. You got to do a restore. You got to test it. You got to do it's what's called invasive to the environment. So that company's going to have to be down. You're going to basically do a dry run. And so most time that doesn't happen, but IT companies will say they're doing it, but they're not.
So we do when we test backups, are we doing it in the evening?
Number one, we test it for our data center.
Okay.
If our clients want it, it's at their request.
Okay.
We might make a recommendation, but again, because it is 10, 20, 30 hours, depending on how many servers they have,
Right.
we're not doing that unless they're asking. That's why it's good it's on your list here.
Right. Okay. All right. Next one is a little silly, but it's number 10.
This is number 10 of 10,
This is
right?
number 10
But I
of
understand
10.
you have a bonus.
I have a surprise.
All right.
So number 10, it sounds silly, but makes sense to me. Invest in a shredder. $40 off Amazon. I'm sure you could probably even get them cheaper. But we have shredders everywhere in our office.
What do you shred?
My wife shreds mail. Bills, mail, anything that we don't want to keep that we have in filing cabinets at home, whatnot. But
Are you a big shred? I mean, 1 to 10, would you rate yourself at? You shred everything? You personally, not the wife. Do you shred a lot?
that'd be a 0.
Zero. How about you, Adam?
Do you shred a lot? That'd be a 0 for me. I don't shred.
I burn through blades on shredders.
Yeah.
I'm shredding everything.
Might burn some stuff at the fire, but I don't
Yeah,
typically shred.
Yeah.
I did that once, but I'm pretty sure my social security number was floating in the neighbor's backyard.
Yeah.
Collecting it out of the air.
Yeah.
We have shredders everywhere, and I mean, I know like anytime it has anything that has anything to do with a client that's an extra, I shred it. Even if there's no personal information on there, even if it's just a game plan that I'm trying to prepare, I shred any extra copies so that there's nothing out there floating around anywhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
So always good.
It's an easy one to do, and everyone should do it. I mean, I'm here in identity theft. Number one way of identity theft is dumpster diving.
Yeah.
People are dumping in trash. So, I mean, because if you ask yourself when it goes to confirm your identity, it might say, you've opened a car loan in the last 2 years. What's the name of the bank that you opened that with? Well, if you get your mail, you might say, well, it's just a statement. If they want to pay my bill, go ahead. But the reality is now they're gathering what's called reconnaissance on you.
Yeah.
And now they're able to piece that together if they're really going after you and be able to prove your identity.
Yeah. If you're going to steal an identity, I recommend Adam, by the way.
Yeah, I hear he's got great credit.
Yeah, he's got really good credit.
Yeah, he's got great credit.
He's always opening up credit cards.
Actually, what is the highest you can have on your credit these days?
800 something?
850 something.
850? So you were like an 875?
Extra credit, Adam.
Yeah. I'm above and beyond always.
All right, guys, and now on to our bonus for this
Ooh,
episode.
I can't wait to find out what it is.
Oh, yes.
It's so exciting.
Invest in dark web monitoring.
Yeah.
What does that mean, guys?
Oh my goodness. So there are services out there.
Adam's
now.
the resident dark web guy. He spends a lot of time on the dark web.
That's for another video.
That's
No, so it's paid services out there now. There's actually free ones out there that you can basically monitor your email address, passwords that you may have used in the past. We're always getting these notices in our email from some company got hacked, your email, or here's what was compromised during the hack. So there are some services you can get. LifeLock is one of those. There's a couple websites you can do some Googles or passwords, that you can search and see, hey, my email was compromised and what compromise and hack it was part of. So something to definitely take a look at. If not, you don't want to pay for it.
Do you have a site they could go to?
Yeah, so it's have I been pwned, PWNED.com.
That's quite the name.
I know, right? It's a great name.
Careful typing that in.
Yes, exactly.
What's the idea of it?
So basically what it is this cybersecurity expert guy has compiled a list of all of the leaks of passwords from these stores, Adobe, all the hacks. And now he has the ability, you type your email address in and you can search and say, hey, I was on that report or that breach, and you can find out what to do next if there's some things that you can take in your own actions.
So can this be used wrong? Like, can I go search you?
Yeah, I mean, anybody can
And does
search
it give me your data?
No. It doesn't do anything like that. It just lets you know what breach you're a part of, things like that. It doesn't give you any information. It just
lets you know you may have exposure.
Exactly.
Got it.
It's not giving you any raw data back. It's just letting you know that, hey, you've been a part of that breach. Here's some things that were part of the breach that may have been released, but it does not give you the information.
Does it tell you if you're eligible for any lawsuit money?
Like that settlement
From
stuff?
from Equifax. I don't think so. I mean, that would be something you can check on Equifax. I don't think it tells you that.
Dang.
You're just looking for some free money.
Yeah.
I think it's like what is it, like $110, or you can get the free LifeLock or
Dude,
something
just
for
open a $30,000 credit card, Adam.
All right, guys.
Oh my.
Well, I want to thank you guys for joining me today. Again, this is as we kind of grow with this podcast. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Jason Garcia. I'm hosting the Unnamed Max Tech podcast right now.
We really need a name.
Yes. So if you
get a
guys
name.
again could help us with a name, we'd really appreciate it. We will have.
What, just comment?
Yeah, just comment.
Toss it in?
Yeah,
Okay.
just comment, toss it in there. The winner will probably get nothing but a high five and a thumbs up.
Hey, you might get a cool podcast named after you.
but,
it's like the tornadoes.
Is this
You get to name them, and whoever finds it.
That's hurricanes.
That's
aren't they?
hurricanes. Wait.
Yeah, it just goes in alphabetical order.
No, I don't think you get to name it if you find.
I think you're just making things up now.
I think no.
It wouldn't be the first time.
So again,
is this where's this going to go? Facebook, YouTube, where all?
Facebook,
Probably everywhere.
YouTube, Instagram,
If it's
the
going to
Max
YouTube-
Tech site, a little bit of everywhere.
Yeah.
And the idea of the show, I mean, ultimately is what? I mean, our audience is small business owners,
Small
operators.
business owners, we want to give you guys tips to be able to improve your business. We were going to have guests on who are in the small business world here locally in Columbus. And you know, just really work on helping small businesses help themselves.
Yeah.
So
Just good information.
Just good
And
information.
we're going to keep these targeted like around, what, 20, 25 minutes?
30 minutes will be
Yeah.
will be the goal. You know, sometimes myself and Matt get off on rants, but hey. So yeah, I have my
You
timer.
tell them you got your moderator in
yeah,
here?
I got my timer, and I have Jonathan, our engineer.
And we are, as real fast too, is we are open to suggestions. Are things you want to learn about, or
Yeah, some
or
topics. That'd be great.
Yes, yep.
You know, please send us those ideas.
Yeah, because we are, at the end of the day, we're a bunch of IT marketing nerds. And if there's something outside of that realm that you want to be a guest on and talk about, we'll be more than willing to have you on and learn something together. So make sure you follow us on all the social media platforms, YouTube, all those things. Do not forget to comment on Facebook, YouTube with names. And want to thank you guys for tuning in. And we'll talk to you soon. We're working on a sign out as well. So I'm going to come up with something clever like Al Roker from the Today Show or
You mean...
Oh, I think I have to know how to use this.
and
There.
our podcast has
figured out how to do it.
Yeah. So all right, guys. Well, thanks, and we'll see you next time.
See you
Thanks,
guys.
everybody.